and here we are back for Act 14 of Universe Zero. This is literally my 10th time trying to record this, because I cannot for the life of me balance this stupid act. The reason why I always go for the silver cars is because there aren't enough supercars, and the ones that are here are so varied that there's like 2 or 3 that stand out like miles above the competition. Or in my case, I've been finding more like 10 or 12, but I'm going to go through the list of mishaps. There's just no point. So we have the lineup for Act 14. This is like my 5th time reading this now. If I wasn't so lazy and had to get these videos started uploading by 4:30, I would just like post-edit the last time that I read this off into this one, and therefore save me time by not having to speak it for the 5th time in a row. But it's not really my option right now. So we have Byrne in the Lamborghini Gallardo SL, which he used previously in Act 9. Alex in the 458 Italia, he used in Act 6. Act 3, driving the Nismo GTR that Vert drove in Act 3. But I figured Super Tsunami is pretty similar to that car. So that was kind of the basis of giving XT3 such a vehicle. Otherwise, Vert would just have it again. Otto von Diesel is in the MP4 12C. 12C meaning 12 cylinders, by the way. I don't know if MP4 means anything, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, it's Otto is driving another McLaren, just like he did in Act 3, where he had the F1 GTR. Or no, Act 4, not 3. Bert Wheeler is in the racing spec version of the Porsche Cayman that Beat had in the last act. Twin Mill is in that Porsche GT3 RS, which you may recognize from the team Act 6 Couples Racing, where that was Captain Falcon's car, and he basically was the lone man, the lone wolf, in what was supposed to be a competition of teams of 2. Technically, he still won the driver's championship, but because he didn't have a second person scoring points, it didn't really matter. That has the racing version of his car from Act 3. Maybe even Act 2, I'm positive. Not positive. 16 Angels has an upgraded version of one of Alex's cars, F40. It would have been his Corvette again, and originally was at one point, but after 5 or 6 of the 10 tests that I've run so far, 10 attempts that I've made so far, well, 6 of them were tests. No, 5 of them were tests. 4 failures, and then this is the 10th try. At this point, I'm starting to not care how balanced the race is. I just want to get it over with so I can get on with the rest of my night before there isn't any night left to get on with. 16 Angels has an upgraded version of his F40 though, which hopefully means it'll actually be competitive. So fast, the first problem, when I had found out that he would start from 10th in the first round, and he would end up at the end of lap 2 be in the lead by almost 3 seconds. And he was in the 917, which I myself had in Act 8, and it was absolutely useless. But now he's in the 908, which trades in a lot of horsepower, but has a very unique downforce system, wherein the rear wing will move around with the car as it turns and hits the brakes. Granted, that's not really crazy nowadays. There's a few cars that have that now, but back when this car came out, in I don't even know when, but if I had to guess, probably the early 70s, that was kind of unusual technology. Governor is in the Mercedes he had in Act 9, and also was Blossom's car in Act 2. Ryan Storm is in a new vehicle. He was the most recent problem because he had a very different car. But when I found out that 800 horsepower is too much for this set of cars, and when he pretty much dominated the last attempt that I made, the first round at Imola, it was painful. Same with Alex. He originally had the Stage 3 version of that 458 Italia, but I quickly found out that both those cars were absolutely not fair, and to the tune of being 6 seconds faster than the rest of the opponents per lap. So I had to fix that. And while this has kind of nerfed Ryan Storm to the ground, because this is the last option I had left that could be a blue car, and that wasn't already being used, it was originally on somebody else. I don't remember who at this point. And I just remember it being like very, very low bottom tier car in this lineup. The lineup has gotten overall slower since that test, but I don't know how much of a difference that's really going to make at this point. I'm back in the same R8 from the previous act. If it's not broken, don't fix it, I suppose. Bedlam is in an Audi Sport rally car, which we've seen the street version before. Mortimer drove it the first time he appeared. I don't know if he drove it afterwards. I don't think he did. Strange thing about this vehicle is it says Toyota Olympus on the back, though there is no vehicle called the Toyota Olympus. It just simply doesn't exist. My only guess, the Olympus Rally is a thing that exists. So in like the mid-70s, when this car was like the new thing that Audi had been using for rally events, Toyota, probably looking to get into rallycross at the time, since they were a staple then from like the mid-80s onwards up until kind of recently when they stopped, I think, because Toyota pulls out of everything they can't win pretty fast. Toyota are like very sore losers. And it's like, that's about the only reason why they haven't pulled out of the compact and sedan market, because they are winning that. They backed out of Formula 1 within like 5 years because they realized that they weren't winning. They almost pulled out of the World Endurance Championship because it had to be rigged for them to start winning. They pulled out of Rally, I imagine because they stopped winning. The only reason they're probably still in NASCAR is because they're winning. I don't believe they had a touring car, but if they did, it probably wasn't winning. They do have GT cars. It hasn't raced yet, so we don't know if it'll start winning or not, but the old ones ran for a pretty long time. They were in the Japan GT Championship for like 2 decades or so. And then the 2008 Supra stopped winning, so they stopped making the Supra, and therefore stopped making the race cars for the Supra. Now they're bringing the Supra back for 2019 races, and I don't know how that does yet because, well, we're not in 2019 yet. But when Toyota was getting into rallycross, they probably borrowed one of these Audis from Audi, obviously. Did some testing on it, and gained data from that experience to start making their own rally-based Corollas and Celicas, one of which is on the game, but it's DLC that I haven't gotten yet. Next, anyway, is Dusty Angel, in the same car you used before. And finally is Danny in this Maserati GT4. This was originally Greased Lightning, but after like the second or third recording attempt, when he won the first round by 27 seconds, I realized that that had to change. However, I couldn't find a car that Greased Lightning could be in that would like fit him as like kind of a slender, smaller car, good power, but you know, still balanced So I decided to take him out and put Danny in instead, which I think was probably a better idea, because like Danny is kind of a staple of the Hot Wheels series, both here and in the actual Hot Wheels games. He is hardly replaceable in many ways, because it kind of embodies the combat essence of Hot Wheels. Same with Gearhead. And there really ain't many other characters that'll do that. Most of them just embody racing, because that's kind of what Hot Wheels is generally about, outside of Velocity X and kind of Beat That, but it's like a mixture of the two. I mean, you know your racing game is doing it kind of weird when every time you win a round, you wait for your opponent to catch up. Granted, the multiplayer drag races don't do it that way, but that's not the point. The point is, I've never heard of any other kind of game that works that way. Another vehicle we haven't seen it either is this BMW Z4. There's also a road-going version, which was supposed to be XT3's car. It's not very good though, despite the fact that it's about as good as the normal BMW M3 that he did drive in Act 1. And then there's the racing version, which XT3 almost had in Act 4, but it wasn't determined that he was red. He was more of green to me, so because of the pony up from World Race. And speaking of X3, he's on pole. Yeah, I always saw X3 as green, probably because of a mixture of of Gearhead and pony up. And you can see the little wing that's there moving as he brakes and steers. It's kind of weird. Especially for a car like this. Wouldn't really call it a hypercar like most other things you'd see that on, like the Bugatti Veyron is on. 12C I think has one actually. Yep, you can kind of see that off to the side there, but that car is from 2013. The Porsche that we were referring to before was from 40 years older. Possibly more, I don't know the exact year. McLaren P1 has it, the Bugatti, either just the Veyron has it. I think Koenigsegg has it, but those aren't even on this game, nor the Bugattis for that matter. Anyway, then we have the complete unit of the wing that's on this car. It's definitely a unique vehicle to bring to the table here, Bedlam. Danny's already been hit. So fast doesn't really know what he's doing with this car. That either means that he's not trying or thinking about the way he's driving, or the car is just that much of a handful, but I can't imagine it's more of a handful than his normal Hot Wheels car. Given that its archetype is normally completely power-based and doesn't have handling. So fast can drive that, but somehow can't handle this. I'm a bit confused. Burns got some crazy power under the hood of that Lamborghini, but he doesn't really know how to use it because he's so used to his Countach. That is not good. So fast has been spun or has spun himself. Didn't really get a great look from there, so. Oh, alright. I had a feeling I should have kept the camera on this fight, because we both know how Burn is. though. That was actually kind of like a tag team between Burn and that. I don't really know who to blame there. Also, you saw 16 Angels get a little loose there. Now that was kind of so fast started that, because Burn was already off the track and he managed to go all the way off of it just to hit him. Kind of reflect off him and get smacked by so fast. And you see 16 Angels who just has a very big moment there. How he kept that from just going off the track, I don't know. Let's see what caused that, just because I'm curious. I think it's just him fighting. He fights me, and oh, I definitely get into him though. So there's also that. Now, how does my car end up? Well, it takes a moment, but we do both continue. So fast, the only one significantly like, well, he's out. So yeah. But I don't really know if I blame Burn for that. He was off the track, which, yes, that's his fault. But, being off the track, he didn't really have a reason to have been hit at all. And the fact that he definitely wasn't his fault, in that sense. That, I don't really know. I mean, he probably could have tried to do something to avoid it, but, like, he was kind of, reacting on borrowed time. See, I think that blame's gonna go to So Fast himself. He just sort of exited from the race on his own ignorant accord. Here comes Alex. The thing is, the upgrades didn't really increase his power. They only... okay. Well, I guess you didn't simulate this outcome, did you, Dusty Angel? Well, I mean, we basically saw what happened, but we have to get a replay of it anyway, just for the principle of the matter. So Denny didn't pass him earlier. Denny passed Dusty Angel. Then got passed back in return. So those two are even, but let's just see. So he gets awfully close to Danny here. He does have, I think, the most power in the act now that I took Ryan Storm's original car out, which had 810 horsepower. He went to clear Danny, he does that, but he doesn't take his normal line. Misses braking point completely and just demolishes Dusty Angel. Alex continues after losing many places, but I don't think Dusty will be going anywhere from here. Boom! Nothing stopping him from going anywhere, just that the AI in this game, when this happens to them, just kind of give up. Well, back at the front, XE3 is very adamant about keeping this place. Burn and that are in pursuit, that especially, apparently. We have these four who are, or these three really. I don't know if Governor is really a part of this group just yet. I think he will be soon though, as Angels goes for another, like, high-speed maneuver. Doesn't quite work. Danny has some good handling in that car. Gets into 16 Angels, but no crazy crash physics, so they don't really go anywhere. I expect a little more from Twin Mill in this race, to be perfectly honest. In the first attempt I had at recording this, he actually almost won. He wasn't second, he split Ryan and Alex. Alex used to be in an even bigger, even a worse car than that. He was in the 488, which had an extra 60 horsepower over that car, and weighed the same thing as the upgraded version, minus like, add an extra like 80 kilograms. Oh, we're about to be 3 wide here. No, we're not. Burn backs out intelligently, and that didn't have the speed to stay there. Bird basically had to run up and hit him like, you idiot. Oh, and we got another one in sand. I didn't see who that was. Ah. It's Otto. This has been anarchy. Alright, so who did this? No one, he just completely missed. In the end, a minor setback. No, that's a very major setback. Well, he is going to continue. Do you really think you can prevent me from fulfilling my destiny? All of the quotes that you'll never probably catch because you didn't pay attention to the cutscenes that well. I would like to imagine not many people do. 6 and Angels with the fastest lap. So the problem was I never actually tested if Alex and Angels' cars are balanced. I just sort of assumed if 6 and Angels' car was like really bad, I knew this car couldn't be that great. F40 has not terribly good handling. Extra 130 horsepower I don't think would make the difference between Act 2 contender and Act 14 victory. I think it's just because of that and Burns' mishap is the only reason that he has the FL right now. Not to be confused with the NFL, fastest lap, is what I'm referring to. And Alex, I was like, well, his car weighs like an extra 400 kilograms now. That's like almost 1,000 extra pounds. So I again sort of assumed that it was much more balanced this time. And well, he's not winning by 20 seconds this time, so it's going better, to say the very least. He's now on top of Danny. Let's get to the front of the field here. And Bedlam's not been too kind, well. Can't see it now. Still can't see it. Everyone in the front is acting accordingly. See how Danny does it and Alex does it. Alex is running rampant today. He just I mean, that worked, but I can't imagine Governor was very pleased about it. And things carry on as relatively normal near the back. Ryan Storm, yeah, I knew this was going to be a problem. By fixing him, I made him not very good at all. But, sorry Ryan, it had to be done. Here comes Otto. Take his, not last, and push it somewhere else. Very close up here between me and these Porsches. 2 of them anyway. The 2 that are left on the track. You notice there's 3 Porsches and there were 3 Ferraris. Before the car that Ryan Storm had was the Ferrari 812. The 812 being the amount of horsepower it had. I think you can maybe see the problem there. Well, the full name was the Ferrari 812 Superfast. Superfast. Really, Ferrari? Like, that's one thing when Hot Wheels names things like that. It's so fast and way too fast. Because it's not exactly like their target demographic needs creative names. Target demographic of a Hot Wheels car is generally young kids, young male kids specifically. I've known a girl or two who likes Hot Wheels. A girl or two, being the key words there. And again, I've only known like 3 girls, so maybe the ratio is pretty impressive there, but most of the ones I knew were the ones that didn't want to admit they played with dolls, so. What is Angels getting down the straightaway? Oh geez, almost 170. Well, Byrne has finally taken the lead from XG3. I'm surprised it wasn't more aggressively, given his disliking of robots. 6 and Angels will promptly do the same. And I think we found our golden boys here in Burn and 16 Angels. And to an extent, Alex, I think if he would stop running into people, he'd be in a little better place than 6th. But yeah, I think the Ferraris are going to hold sway in this championship. I don't really know. Well, Ferraris. There's 3 Ferraris, there's 3 Porsches, there's the singular Lamborghini, which is about to win the race, unless 16 Angels does something crazy in the last lap. X3 just helplessly watches and just tries to keep 3rd from Bedlam and that. Bert and I are still fighting over the last point. Twin Mill, Danny, and Governor are pretty close, but let's see how this pans out. Bedlam has not been terribly kind to his engine. There is like an engine rev system. Obviously, if you over-rev the engine, it overheats it. Do it too long, the engine just dies. But obviously, the AI don't usually do that. Therefore, meaning that this thing's engine is not very durable whatsoever if the AI are managing to screw it up. If Twin Mill would stop being a chicken, we might have had a race to the end. But Danny's just going to keep that 9th or that 8th. And I will claim the final point of the round. I don't tell a lie, there aren't very many cars left that would work that I haven't already tried, so... Yeah, sorry Ryan, you are the butt of the joke here. I just figured it'd be fitting because that car is blue and it has the company name all over it. Similar to how when we see a car that has the Hot Wheels logo over it, we just say it's Danny, or Ryan Storm rather. With same like this as was the case with the Hot Wheels car and the Hot Wheels 500 from Star Trek Driver. I don't know, it's like, I'm thinking about it, like when it came to like the series Hot Wheels games that were the most fun to watch on your channel, the awards definitely had to go to World Racing Turbo Racing, just because of the sheer number of named characters. And well, if we tried harder, we could probably come up with a name for all of the characters, and one of the 2 at least, or at least just make them all significant, even if a lot of them were just named after the car they're in. But I mean, we have Slide Out now, who I guess we were kind of as an official character. I can't think necessarily of another car that could put him in, because there's no purple cars in this game that are rally cars. There are rally cars. Bedlam's in one right now, but that only comes in white. Just slightly different variations of white. And there's the Toyota Celica GT4 rally car from like '97, but that's a DLC car. And well, I'd like to get it because it would actually open up a few more options as well. Mainly a lot of the Audis would be available to me, because right now I only got 5 to choose from. The R8, which is here, the GT3 R8, which I haven't used because we haven't done really a GT3 series, because those get boring to watch. Since they're so evenly matched with each other, the AI just kind of finish where they start 90% of the time. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that either. I thought I was still in the pits for some reason. I don't know. I'm not mentally there anymore. I spent too long trying to get this recorded. Alright, so the governor is on pole, Vert's in second, and activities once again nearish the front. I had, like I said, I put in one of the episodes. I don't remember the precise episode I put it in, but the hi Otto, the personal list of the personal list of Velocity X characters that I refer to when I play the game in my own time. Oh, hi Otto. I keep referencing the "oh hi Alex" moment that you had like one video or another. I don't remember where it was. But of course, if you were to use that list in its entirety, you'd have to take many liberties. Obviously, characters like Dexter and Number One and the Powerpuff Girls aren't canon in your series, so those have to change. Of course, Danny wouldn't necessarily need to be on Split and Image if Buttercup doesn't take MST Suzuka. I saw on the map somebody went for a nutty maneuver. They didn't seem to go off the road, so I guess it doesn't really matter. This car is loud! Vert is, not necessarily very contested right now. Ooh, Alex is not having the best start as Danny and Bedlam almost broke each other. He's not in last. He might be about almost in last. He's not in last still, though. But, given the pace and speed he had at the last race in Imola, the fact that he's down here in 14th is kind of weird. 16 Angels is rapidly gaining places. He better do so very rapidly because Vert's like 6 seconds up the road already. And while I assume he might be faster, is he faster enough? I find it funny how I'm pretty sure the back of that car says Cloud 9. I do believe it is a 9 there. I think it says 9. I'm not. Yeah, it's like a really tiny 9, but it's there. It's like a 9 inside the cloud, so. Yeah, it's almost like an accidental callback, because I can't see the back of the livery when I pick it. I can only see the front. I just saw it was purple. I was like, oh, this is kind of like Slingshot, but with a giant spoiler. I didn't even notice that it almost had something of a callback to World Race on the back of the car. Didn't notice, mainly because I couldn't see it. Well, Sofast is doing better so far. He's managed to at least remain on the road. Or at least remain on it enough so that he doesn't take himself out of the race. Angels has to catch 5 seconds that lap is a second and a half faster, so he has the speed to do it, I think, especially now when he doesn't have other cars in his way to get around. But, does he really have the time, though? I'd want to say the answer is yes. A very noisy overtake, as Byrne moves up a place on Dusty, and sort of just, like, intimidates Governor out of the way just there. Governor, of course, has a much better run out of that turn, but it really doesn't matter. Governor only has about average power. Governor made that work, though, by just swan diving into that corner. Oh yeah, that's right, I mentioned this in the qualifying race, but I mentioned this in, like, one of the earlier attempts, not in a qualifying race. What the heck am I talking about? But Danny, kind of akin to his, you know, inherent aggressive style, tends to lock his brakes into that left turn there. I don't know if he just did it in qualifying because I test the balance of drivers using qualifying basically every time. Because that's when the AI are like pushing as hard as they can. And therefore I get like the best results. But I watched Donnie. Nope, it's not a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, it's just Hot Wheels character. Danny will sometimes lock up his brakes going into the left-hander there, and that flat spots his tires, which, when he does it, you would see on the HUD as kind of like the tires start glowing yellow. It's like the tire version of what Bedlam did in the last round with his engine. 16 Angels definitely has the pace to catch him, but even with all that pace, does he have the time? Because really, if he catches him after the straightaway on the next lap, it's pretty much too late. Because he needs to use his top speed to pass. Well, after the straightaway, there aren't many more places where he can use that top speed. Sure, his handling might be almost as good, or at least close enough to stay with Vert once he gets there. But you can't pass with it because Vert's is better. I'm just gonna stop spectating Dusty. His car is supremely loud. That's if he started on pole, or close to it, and he's ended up in 7th already. This group are just like stuck. With specifically that and Bedlam, and by extension, Danny and kind of So Fast are just kind of stuck together. As Twin Mill and XC3 are going back at it, Twin Mill gets the advantage out of the turn, but doesn't really have the best exit, but I don't think XC3 had one either, so they'll just kind of remain there, and Twin Mill uses better handling, and he'll just kind of leave. Meanwhile, 16 Angels is basically at Vert's door, and he's knocking, but I don't think he's in time. If he had an extra lap, there'd be no doubt in my mind that he could probably win the race. But, seeing as that extra lap isn't there, I'm gonna go ahead and say he doesn't win the race. Though, never be completely sure anymore. There is another long straightaway, but passing into it, it can be a little tough. For anyone, AI or not. Look at this distance, though. Also, nice turn by them. It's like Mario jumps over the curb on the inside of the track. And the hood pops up because you can see a tiny little yellow circle on his tire logo there. Because he locked up in flat spots the tires. Of course, when I'm watching him, he won't do it, but... Here's where the battle for the win will come to a head. Well, okay, I already answered that question. He does indeed have the speed to get to Vert on the inner straightaway. Does he have what it takes to pass, though? He doesn't seem to. He, kind of chickened out. So it seems as though, indeed, Vert is going to win the second race here. Though not by all that much, because 16 Angels' car is not balanced, no, but I really hope he doesn't start on pole anytime soon. Otto, what is probably a record finish for him, will take a third place. In terms of physical dispute from someone, Byrne will drive home for 4th place with Dusty Angel not far behind, taking 5th. The governor has just lost 6th to Twin Mills, so he will instead have 7th, and then we have this mess. It's a giant conga line of cars that aren't even... not even a full second away from anyone else in the line of cars. So 16 Angels was absolutely the best car. Vert just had the advantage of starting up front. And I bet the girls wish they were here, but they cannot be because they are not Hot Wheels characters. So... I say it's their favorite track, when technically their home track would be Laguna Seca, because Townsville is supposed to be in California. Well, it's actually the coordinates, like they basically say that the coordinates of the town are boiling and freezing at the same time, so 32 and 212, which basically put Townsville in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. So, unless Doofenshmirtz made that felt-based city on the sea thing a reality, and that happens to be Townsville, which I can totally see, to be honest, just because of the whole it's run by a villain concept. I just imagine Tom Kenny voicing Doofenshmirtz, and this sounds absolutely... well, it's about as crazy as it sounds, because that's all I can think of is how it would sound. Whoa! Wait, what? It says, like, are you sure? And then doesn't do anything. No. Signal still has to get through the field again. However, Alex is on the front row, meaning I think this race might already be over. However, Byrne is there to battle him. Assuming the governor gets out of his way. Or the governor just not let Alex go ahead. That also works, I suppose. I don't think Byrne will have much to complain about that. Vert uses... that's not Vert. That's that. Who also uses his handling, since he has the best handling in the class, but also the lowest power at like 280. Vert has 350, which isn't much more, but... you know. Dusty Angel, with all of his power, even that little short straightaway is enough to get him next to Vert. Vert hasn't started too well, has he? As that obstinately, and Governor to an extent, obstinately blocks Alex from escaping the extraterrestrial driver. I have written out a list. It's kind of jumping subject, but I have made a list of the world race characters. This time put in a specific order, unlike the Velocity X one, which is kind of like, here's every car in the game in no particular order, and the driver that I associate with it when I play it on my own time. Which, of course, if you were to use that as you know, the whole truth of the state of the fact, which I mean, I'm not going to say you can't, obviously, but like, I really wouldn't expect you to do so because of, well, certain things like Buttercup not being like, you know, I can't really say that surprises me, to be perfectly honest. That's very Burn, what just happened there. He wrecks his friend slash enemy into the first turn, trying to just pass him normally, and he just can't even do that without being a jackass. So now Dusty and Twinmill will have a crack at Governor and that. Instant replacement. You're disposable, you veterans of the first game of the series. And are therefore like the most indisposable characters in the lineup, but that's not really relevant, I guess. Dusty Angel tries to have a crack at that. I'm sure he would love that right about now in your series. But, you had to settle with here. Which is basically... It's a simulation, when you think about it. It's a sim racer. And the little company that made the game is called Kunos Simulations. But, it's not quite the same kind of simulation. Because this simulation is just simulating accurate results. The other one is it's just simulating randomly generated results. And with emphasis on random, as it would seem. That is ready to make the return maneuver, but doesn't have the top speed for that, I don't think. And Dusty now looks on the inside of Governor. And Governor, while resistant, does not completely deny it. Angels, who I might add started last, is already up in fourth. This could be a problem, folks. This could really be a problem. Granted, two of his most dangerous opponents in the situation are out of the race due to, well, Burns' own stupidity. But it doesn't take away from the fact that other than those two wrecking, he has still gained like 8 places to be here right now. 9 places now because he passed that. And could be 10 in the near future, assuming he can get around Governor, which I think he can, though Governor has been very obstinate about not being passed. Otto has also kind of joined the fun, and that completely misses and has to, well, lose a lot of time. He will quickly make the time back up by just being here, but so fast. And Hand is not so much in the fray. Burt Wheeler has also joined them as well, so we have a, well, kind of 6-car fight for second place. With Dusty Angel a good ways down the road. That looks like, no, Governor is still ahead of, I'm just, not really anymore, I don't think. Indeed, not anymore. Governor went very wide. Oh yeah, his car also has a moving wing too. So yeah, it's not really unusual now. Like I said earlier, the 12C has it, this SLS has it, but just like, they'd never been on a car from the 70s, and them having that kind of idea then, that was definitely weird at the time. Twinmill has also passed Governor for the moment. However, he might not stay ahead. He's stuck out, never mind, he does maybe stay ahead, I don't know. Looks like he might have actually lost the place back to Governor, by the looks of it. See if we can outmaneuver or outbrake him here. Governor leaves another, like, farm, like another acre of space, like, and gives that all the room, puts himself in the sand so Vert can take advantage. Governor just became a pushover after Dusty cleared him, I guess. It's the Battle of the Angels as we get down to the last 2 laps of the event. This is, this should be a match to behold. There's Cupid when you need him. Otto would be the closest contender, but he is 3 seconds away from them. So I think it's just going to be down to the Angels to determine who wins the Brands Hatch event. It's very close for 4th between Twinmill, that, and Vert Wheeler. Governor is slowly gaining back up to the group, but I don't think he will get back in time. It is also a bit of a brawl for 9th place. Kind of. Bedlam has once again damaged his engine. So, 16 Angels has passed Dusty Angel. I imagine just down the straightaway anticlimactically. But at this point, I've recorded this so many times that I'm not about to start it over again and change 16 Angels' car. Because A, I don't want him to be in the Corvette, but B, the normal F40 doesn't allow for multiple colors like the upgraded version does. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. Neither one would really be that usable here. They would both get him very poor results. And again, he's not alone with being this fast. Dusty Angel put up a fight. Not a very great one. Otto is actually faster than he is, even. Vert is decently competitive, as is that on a good day. Danny has clocked some decent lap times. And these two, if they would stop wrecking each other, can also give him a run for his money. It's just a matter of, well, they're all stupid, except for Dusty and Otto. Well, think of this so fast. It's better than you did in Act 1. Which really, being perfectly honest, it doesn't get any worse than that. But, you know, every cloud. Well, Danny has used his car's handling to take advantage of the track he's at and pass me probably pretty easily. XT3 would be next. I don't think he has time for that though. And that's not to mention, X3 has a pretty significant power advantage. Danny's kind of like the weaker handling car, but compared to Vert and that. I think he's got like 10 more horsepower over Vert, but in the long run that doesn't do anything. Because, well, it's 10 horsepower, it's not like it's 75. His lap times are pretty solid, though. He has the pace for like a top 6, but he just kind of started nowhere near that. So he gained 3 places, so even that is an accomplishment in a way. Look at the points, yeah, I assumed that was the case with 16 Angels dominating everything. I think we'll be sending Snap multiple times on him. Other than 16 Angels, so far, the championship is pretty close. Unfortunately, this is the one where we would have 18 races rather than the normal 15 or even 12, which I think would have been better off for me doing 12 because of how 16 Angels has been doing. So next episode we will have Nürburgring GP, Red Bull Ring, and Spa. Actually it's been a very European 2 episodes. The first non-European track would be Black Hat County here. And then the only other one is Laguna Seca. Every other track in the game is in Europe because that's just kind of what they did with this game. Yes, there are plenty of good tracks in Asia. Suzuka, Fuji, Suzuhai. Technically, people consider Australia Asian Pacific, so Bathurst. Melbourne, Townsville Street Circuit. That's not just a joke because it's called Townsville, but that is one reason why I like the name. Sepang in Malaysia. Sepang is in Malaysia, not and Malaysia. Bahrain International. Okay, never mind that one. Dubai Autodrome. But the game is made in Europe, so the majority of tracks in the game are European. There aren't any Asian tracks to speak of. Which is kind of annoying because Suzuka is like my second favorite track in the world behind Spain. So that'll be it for the first episode of Act 14. Back to the basics here for this one. Of course, with there being minus myself and all Hot Wheels car lineup. And 16 Angels has started to run away with it already. Which is sort of annoying because now it's too late to change it. Because I basically finished this episode and not recording it again, because otherwise I'll be up until 5 in the morning waiting for the thing to upload.